Okay, so this is me in the car. I've made a little bit more room already by putting this rear beam behind where it was and moving it across so I've got space for the prop shaft. It's still a bit tight around my arse, but I can fit fine, no problem. Where I am really tight actually is here. We've got this 2" by 2" beam, which is part of the original 750 regulations that no longer applies. When this car was built, this was part of the regulations, which is why it's here. But that means that we can actually cut into it a bit. Below this 2 by 2, we've got a 1" piece of steel on the floor. Sorry, no, it's 20mm on the floor, but we've got a 1" diagonal. So what we can do is we can cut into this and make more space for the driver when he's driving the car. And also, it does mean that this 2 by 2 isn't going into the chest. It actually gives me a bit more room and allows me to put the whole body in the car. Right now, it's probably easier to drive like that, with my elbows out of the car. But if I can bring it in, that will give me more room. So I've sat in here just to see where I need to cut it away, because I don't want to cut it all away. I've also got to bear in mind that I've got suspension joints that actually do screw into here as well. So I've got to be careful when I take this out that I don't damage the holes that have originally been made in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark it up, and then I'm probably going to call it a night and do my cutting tomorrow. But yeah, if I can finish that today or tomorrow and cut it out and create a nice bit of space for the driver here, then we're getting really close to actually finishing this cockpit. We've still got to do the prop shaft and do the bits for the prop tunnel here, but I don't think that's going to be too difficult. It's more about adding some steel in for driver safety and getting a couple of pieces of diagonals in here in the right place. I think that's probably a day or two's work. So another weekend and I think I'll be pretty much there with the cockpit. And then we can just finish the front end once I've worked out where everything's going to go. Okay, so I'm going to mark this up now and maybe start cutting that tomorrow. But that's where I'm going to cut the chassis down there to give an inch extra room for the driver. I think that'll make a big difference, especially for me, because I'm very broad shouldered. There's the steering wheel, and there you can see that extra room. What I'll probably do as well is I'll weld another 16 gauge piece of steel on top and below to improve the strength of that. Good morning. Today's a lovely day. I'm going to be cutting this chassis rail. I've got to make sure I protect these holes. They will have to be shortened in line with the chassis rail, but as these are suspension mounting points, I need to be very careful to not damage them. So I need to cut on the top, down the side and underneath, and then I'm going to need to make another template and weld in another piece of sheet steel to form this new joint here and give the driver more space. So you can see I've chopped that bit out separately for the suspension mount, so I can pull the panel out and then chop the tube separately inside. Alright, let's see if we can take some of this off. Oh, look at that. I've also managed to leave the holes in place. What I need to do now is get my cardboard out again, start doing some more arts and crafts, and then once I've done that I'll take some of these bits off, like this screw here, and strip all the paint off, and then we can start welding it back into place. There's my basic strip. So I'm going to cut that in metal and then take some more bits off and take the paint off and start welding it in. A bit more finagling to get this piece in. fully tacked in now. Well, I can tell you already that now we've made this cockpit a bit wider, even just getting into it is a lot easier. I'm going to have to add some extra strengthening on here, either to this side or to the top and bottom, probably to this side and maybe the top, just because it's easier to do. Getting underneath and welding this beam is quite hard, but yeah, I can actually get, if I scoot down, I can get my whole shoulder in now, and my elbow. I've got room to move. I mean, I am a bit tight in here still, but I've got a lot more room. So it's taken all day and it's still not finished, but yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I've definitely got more room, especially if I lean forward a little bit. If I lean all the way back, but just lean forward a tiny bit, maybe an inch or so off the back of the headrest, I've actually got lots of room. Superb. Really pleased.